Focus, determination, passion, stamina, and the will to win. The end result, the Ricmotech Sportscar Series. Extreme Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sportscar Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and by Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, live Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
We're back in full force, locked and loaded for a new class of car in a new year and a new decade for 2020 and beyond. The green flag is ready to wave for Season 16 for a 10-round championship that will conclude in early April at the virtual Road America. Today, though, we welcome you to the Sebring International Raceway. It's located in the Sunshine State of Florida, and it hosts the first round of 16 for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series, with all coverage on Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to the series for a new year around this 5.9 kilometer circuit, 3.7 miles depending on your units of choice, metric or imperial. It's a clockwise layout that's very bumpy. 17 corners around this former airfield in Florida. It's 60 minutes of racing action coming up later today. There's the track map up on screen. 45 meters of elevation change that you don't see visualized on that 2D track map. And it's hard to see when you lap around this circuit in the cockpit too. But believe it or not, it is as much as you see at circuits such as Spa, with top speeds of up to 270 kilometers an hour here today. Good afternoon, everybody. Jonathan Simon on hand in the commentary booth. Tyler Maxson alongside me in commentary and production. Tyler, welcome back to 2020. The biggest talking point is the addition of a new car class for the first time in 5 years for the series. We welcome the Audi RS3 TCR vehicle, and that means we now have 3 official pro classes.
Yes, we do. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here on Apex Racing TV. I'm so excited to get to cover this once again. I mean, this is probably my favorite series that I've ever covered, and we're back. And what a way to start the season. It's Sebring International Raceway, and like you said, we get to bring in a brand new car class. The Audi comes to us here, the Audi TCR car, and it is coming out in full force.
Certainly is, and along with that, we have we still retain the Mustang and the Mazda MX-5 itself. So the other 2 cars return. The MX-5 has had recent upgrades, though, and we saw a preview of that, didn't we, at the final round at Daytona for last year, for the last season in 2019. And Tyler, you're somebody who's raced the MX-5 in the real world, and you're actually a champion in 2019 in the MX-5. And that new updates, once those tires get warm, you feel like it's quite realistic in comparison to the real-life version of the car.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. They really did a good job getting that car really spot on. Once you get heat into the tires, they do feel very nice indeed. And I've also driven a TCR car in the real world. It's what I'm doing next year, so I have a little bit of experience of driving the TCR. Nothing with the Audi, but if the Hyundai is anything to go by, it's definitely also pretty good once you get the tires up to temperature.
And another change is that our open division is now only limited to our MX5 class. So that's the ST class, the street tuner class as it's known. And I think it's a positive change for the series because now you sort of minimize the open classes in each sort of pro division. But the MX5 is quite a popular car, so you still get that competition there. And it means, Tyler, we're still going to retain on our overlays the 4 different colors for each classes of cars. So we obviously have blue to represent TCR, and green, of course, to represent our MX5s, of course, too. Lighter green will be our open division, and we'll go through in that in a little bit more of a time. There's gray on the left-hand side of the screen to represent our Mustang class. A lot of drivers represented, Tyler, here at Sebring.
Yeah, there really is. This is a record entry list for the league going into round number 1. Currently in the session, we have 41 drivers, and that's a very impressive turnout for the first time in some time. The biggest field still is the MX5, but the Mustang field growing, and it's up now to 11 cars. Surprisingly, to me at least, the TCR field's the smallest at 8 cars.
Yeah, certainly is. We do have a track guide for today's event as usual at Sebring for round number 1. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring, Florida, here at Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us today. We're going to do a track guide around the course, this 3.75 mile road course. This track was originally built back in the late 1940s, post-war. There was a gentleman that was an aeronautical engineer here at Hendricks Army Airfield, and he decided he wanted to hold a sports car event here, something similar to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He decided to hold the event on New Year's Eve in 1950. The first event was the 6 Hours of Sebring. 2 years later, the 12 Hours of Sebring was born. As we approach Sunset Bend here, this is the final turn on the course. We're going to come out of here and take you to the stripe, and we'll get this lap underway for you. It's a very fast exit here. We'll talk more about that when we come around on the next lap. Coming down to the start-finish line, the front straight here at Sebring International Raceway. Pits are to your right. Going to come in here wide into turn 1. This is a 3rd gear corner in the Mustang. Going to roll that center, look for that blind side of exit, get right up through the gears here. And this takes us down into this little turn 2 kink to the right, into 3rd and into 2nd. This is a very complex section right here. Coming through, you gotta hug those apexes, come in wide here, allow the car to roll, let the nose set down nice to get that good launch up off the exit. Coming around Big Bend here, this is turn 6. Very fast corner. Drivers love coming off this turn and down into this very, very difficult, tight hairpin. Getting down through the gears into 3rd, back down into 2nd here. Tight, tight, tight rotation. You want to get that car straight back out so you can get a good straight launch out into turn 8 here and up into turn 9. Another fast section coming off that hairpin. You will see overtaking opportunities here. Coming down into turn 10, Cunningham corner, back down through the gears, another tight right, again change in track surface as we've got a combination of asphalt and concrete and old runway here that this track has been built on over the years and expanded to. Coming down into Tower Corner here, this is a turn 13. You want to get a good, nice launch off the exit there because this is taking us to the fast section, the complex of 14 through 16. Drivers will be wide open through here. Won't see a whole lot of overtaking opportunity, but you got to be quick. And you'll see why in a moment. Coming into 14, quick right, back to the left, pedal to the floor, lift, trail brake, off the brake, down into almost straight. You want to get a good fast run off this corner because this is where you can get a little bit of draft help and hopefully slipstream the driver in front of you. Heading down to the final corner here, which is turn 17, known as Sunset Bend. As you can see, that sun is glaring late afternoon here right through our windshield. Coming down into the corner, into 3rd gear, wide apex entry. This is a closing radius corner. Let it wrap around, get a good straight launch off, take this thing right to the outside up through the gears. Get a good straight speed launch to the start-finish line. There you go. There's your track guide lap from Sebring, Florida, Sebring International Raceway.
So that is our track guide for Sebring. Lots of overtaking spots available. Turn 1 is a good one, of course, with the turn 7 hairpin. And don't forget Sunset Bend into that final corner. There's a million lines you can take through that final corner, Tyler.
Yeah, there certainly is, Johnny. I mean, you can take the Sunset Bend is basically one of the only corners on this racetrack where there is no really right and wrong to it. I mean, drivers can go about it whichever way they like to go about it, and that's what makes it one of the coolest corners on the entire racetrack. And in a car such as like the TCR car, where you're heading through there at nearly 90 or 100 miles an hour, I'm not quite sure what that equates to in kilometers, but whenever you're going through there at that kind of pace, it can be a bit sketchy, especially once the rear tires get a little bit worn out in those TCR cars. I think we're going to see those guys kind of moving around a little bit more and using that front-wheel drive to their advantage. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with tires, because I know a lot of these guys in the TCR cars have had trouble with getting the rear tires up to temperature after the pit stop if they do decide to take 4 tires. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see drivers just go for 2 fronts.
Yep, if you are unfamiliar with that Audi RS3, it's a front-wheel drive car, and it just means those rear tires don't get heated up as well, and that's been a struggle. You'll see the drivers swerving on the front straight and swerving on this formation lap here. Let's take a look at your grid for the first time this season for 2020. It's William Laster starting on pole with a brilliant time, 4/10 up on Kevin Carlisle, who makes his debut in the series. He'll be ahead of Brandon Whitworth and Eric Violet, the two D2D Esports teammates, making that switch over to the Audi RS3 this season from the Mustang. Then we have Matthew Madigan starting from 5th. That's 2 Rallycross drivers in your top 5 of Kevin Carlisle and Matthew Madigan. Chad Parker starts from 6th, and then rounding out our TCR field is Lucas Ford, Edgar Sancinelli, and Bobby Childs, who also makes the switch from the MX-5. And then we cycle through our Mustang field and have a look at that. It's Mike Dam on pole position, who makes the switch from the MX-5 back to the Mustang, the car he's oh so familiar with, and begins the season on a high. Aeronom, could we say the European and the Estonians got a little bit too complacent, winning that championship, clean sweeping last season for season 15. And we'll wait and see as to whether or not he's got the race pace in a few moments' time. Tyler Shiflett maintains his good pace alongside Clint Vigas. Then we look at your MX-5 order, and it's DJ Alessandrini, who's so quick in this Mazda MX-5. He'll start alongside the young Elvis Rankin heading into 2020, and he's going to get a little bit older, but still the youngest out there in the field for sure. They'll be alongside, they'll be in front of the second row that includes the Excite Racing teammates of Robert Hartley, our champion from last season. Travis Schwenke starts behind him. Then it's John Allen, the Defined Auto Works driver. Keep an eye out on John Allen. He's a driver who's won races in the past in the MX-5, and on the right day has some good pace. David Payton, the Canadian, will start from 6th ahead of Jacob Beasley, who makes the switch from his own Bees Knees team to the D2D Esports team for this season. He'll be ahead of Brennan Horan in his first race in the series alongside Chris Thorman. The rest of the field will be on screen. You can see Geordie Fike starting down the order. There are a lot of MX-5 cars in that field right now, all the way down to Evan Wood in the number 96. But the talking points I brought up there, Tyler, is Mike Dam making the switch back to the Mustang from the MX-5 and starting the season on a high with pole position.
Yeah, Mike Dam certainly starting off right there. He hasn't been able to capture a Mustang championship in some time. This has really been dominated by Aeronom since he joined the series nearly, I think now we're nearing season 4 or 5. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Johnny, but he has won the championship, I think, every season, since he's joined in. So Aeronom has really been the dominant one. No one's really had a look in at the Mustang Championship, but Mike Dam starting off his campaign right with a pole position here in Sebring International Raceway. But the big question mark, I think, for everyone is who is going to come out on top of the TCR field? We haven't seen this field race yet, and we really don't know how the pace of these drivers is what the pace of these drivers, is going to be like over the long run. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that whole class develops over the course of the year, and everyone gets more and more familiar with that Audi RS3.
Yep, certainly the case. Now the Audi. Oh, there's a spinner there in the Audi. That's William Laster. Laster, who's supposed to start. No, was it Edgar Sancinelli? I'm a bit confused. The overlay there is playing up. That is Edgar Sancinelli. Excuse me. I thought that was our pole position sitter. But Edgar Sancinelli, who's trying to warm up the tires. And again, that's what we're going to see quite often, Tyler. His driver's trying to just swerve left to right here on the pace lap. And for Edgar Sancinelli, it's gone all wrong.
Oh, he's dropped a wheel. He's actually dropped a wheel then on the grass. And I can tell you, that is one of the things that these drivers are going to have to be oh so careful with here, is the rear tire temp. For the first few laps, those rear tires are stone cold. And you're driving that car like a front-wheel drive for the first couple of laps until they can get a bit of heat into him. So it's very, very difficult, this car, when those tires are cold. And that's why I'm thinking we may see some drivers just go for the two-tire strategy and not quite take those dual tires or all four tires on their pit stops.
Well, we have 3 endurance rounds for this season. Those will be 90 minutes in length. Today, though, we kick off the first round of 2020 and the first round of the decade with a 60-minute event. It's the first time in 5 years we introduce a new car out there on the racetrack and a new class of car. And it's this on screen, the Audi RS3 TCR, the front-wheel drive beast, ready to go for season 16. And we go green from Sebring.
What a start there from William Laster. Look around the outside, though. Here comes Kevin Carlisle. They're all challenging down towards turn 1.
Oh, it's a bit of contact with that Apex car of Carlisle, who's trying to stick it around the outside. Matthew Madigan for Nerdworks Racing, promoting himself up a spot here. He's still challenging Eric Violet for that 4th position. And, well, they're still alongside each other here heading into the first sector, this very tight and twisty complex. Here's the beginning of the race for the Mustangs, and Mike Dam floors it. The Estonian of Aeronom could already be passed here by Tyler Shiflett. They're alongside each other here. Nom is on the outside, Shiflett on the inside. This is critical for Aeronom's race. We ride on board from the chopper cam, and Aeronom under braking. I'll tell you what, Tyler, I'm not sure who's going to end out on top, but Aeronom's showing his grit.
Yeah, and here comes the biggest field on the racetrack, the MX-5s. They're really fanning out down towards turn number 1. Everyone so far, though, through cleanly. No one having any sort of major incidents. And I think they're all just going to settle in single file, the best of any class. That's certainly not normal for an MX-5 field.
Tell you what, it's ironic that the biggest incident we saw in this race was before the race began with Edgar Sancinelli, and he's up a position here past Bobby Childs. Oh, and just as I say that, Brian Cummings is into the barriers there in the first sector. Now we see Mike Taylor here, that ride in Shotgun Motorsports car. We switch over to Brandon Whitworth, who's 2nd overall, ahead of Kevin Carlisle here to begin the race. And here they head, Tyler, through, this looks like Le Mans, the right-hander of turn 16. The drivers are allowed to do that. Run wide off the racetrack there. It won't be a 1X.
It certainly will not, but as we ride on the roof cam here of Brandon Whitworth, he's trying everything to get the slipstream off of William Laster. It's a very important thing in this car. It can be made up a lot, even sometimes more than the MX-5, and you could just see how much that rear end is moving around there on William Laster and on Brandon Whitworth. You can just see the movement that they're having to do in the steering wheel to keep that car underneath them through Sunset Bend.
Here's Whitworth, still being challenged by Carlisle. It looks like the Apex driver is trying to make that move. Oh, this is carnage here. Kevin Ford involved. Kevin Ford here on the back straight. He's coming through Le Mans. Now, what's happened to him, Tyler? He's run wide, and he's lost that all on his own. Oh, goodness. And the driver's behind, just in a helpless situation. But that is our Vice President of Extreme Motorsports not having the best of starts to his 2020 campaign.
No, certainly not. He just lost it there on his own, and to no fault of his own, really just was in the middle of traffic. No one could do anything to really get out of the way in time And I think that was just a very unfortunate incident there for all those drivers. But as we jump back here to your MX5 field, it's still DJ Alessandrini who leads. Elvis Rankin has made a big step up over the offseason. He runs in second place. What some pace that Elvis Rankin has here in Sebring. Then it's Robert Hartley sitting down in third. Travis Schwenke and John Allen are down in fourth and fifth. We haven't seen them be too far up the field since the last rounds in the final in the Season 15 championship. They were really quick in the final round, but just didn't have that pace all the way through.
Yeah, Elvis Rankin's a driver. He's taken more than 45 wins in both the USAC series, Bandolero Bandits, and even Midgets. So he's certainly got a lot of racing out there in the real world and still a lot to come. And he's quite successful on the sim too and getting better over the years. Here they head through to the turn 7 hairpin. This is your MX5 field, down around 10th position. That's Jason Bossy there, in a bit of a sandwich between Thorman and Cranston. This is one of your best overtaking spots, Tyler, into 7.
Yeah, it really is. If you could just get under braking and get it down in there in super, super deep, then you can really get that car. Then you can get down the inside of someone, and it would be very easy for you to make the move. It's one of those corners where the driver on the outside really can't do much anything to defend from you.
Now into this complex middle sector. Those cones there just used as braking reference points for the drivers. If you're wondering why they're so dangerously and perilously close to the racing line. And now heading through what is Tower turn 13. So apart from a minor spin every now and then, the race has progressed quite well. It's still William Laster leading. We switch over to Brandon Whitworth. This is Kevin Carlisle on the run down to that turn 7 hairpin. I think he's a little bit too far back, Tyler, but he certainly got the pace to make his way past Whitworth. He just didn't have the best of getaways, so he's now stuck in traffic.
Yeah, it certainly does. And these TCR cars, while they can be very easy cars to have some amazing racing and do some great passing on, they can also, if you can't get close enough, they can kind of have a bit of an aero push. They do create quite a bit of downforce on the front end of these TCRs. People don't really realize how much downforce this car actually makes and how much downforce that splitter in the front end really does for you. And it can have some very negative effects if you can't quite get close enough. You can kind of get a bit of understeer from the car ahead of you, and that can make it very difficult to pass.
Carlisle's very close here, isn't he? All over the rear end of Whitworth through the final sector. I don't know if you can make a pass heading into Le Mans. I've seen it in the past, but it's off somebody losing it. This is going to be a pass for sure. Surely into Sunset Bend. Carlisle just needs to remain patient. Now, is the slipstream that effective in this car? That's the question. We'll wait and see.
Oh, it certainly is. I can tell you from experience, you can gain nearly half a second to a second a lap. It's almost as powerful as the MX-5, to be honest with you, in this TCR car. So we will certainly see a lot of draft.
And Carlisle, you can see the bumps there through Sebring, especially through Sunset Bend. Really challenging the American. Didn't have the best of rookie campaigns in Rallycross. Started off the season well, and he would have liked to end it a little bit better, but at least he's got through a rookie campaign. That's the main thing. Hope to see him back in 2020 for Rallycross for sure. He's one of the best on the service on iRacing itself. So this is your battle between second and third in your TCR class. We switch over to the GS class. That's your Grand Sport class. And this is your lead battle between the Mustangs of Mike Dam, the Canadian, and Eero Nom, the Estonian, as they head through the final corner. And now Nom also in a bit of a pickle, much like Carlisle.
Yeah, Nom really is, but we know how Eero Nom is. He does this kind of stuff, and he's done it in the past. He just sits behind the other drivers in the field, and he just lets them burn their tires off, does an Eero Nom strategy, and is miraculously, at the end of the race, 10 seconds ahead of everyone else, because that's just what Eero Nom does, and he's done it for several seasons before. So we'll see if Eero Nom's able to do it We know how competitive Mike Dam is in that Cryptology Racing orange car. When he's racing the Mustang, he's been quick and he's been up there. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be a really good challenger at Aeronom, but I think at this point he's probably Aeronom's closest competition.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially for this season. That's an accurate prediction. As we now switch to the battle between Alessandrini and Rankin, it looks like every class right now has a battle for the lead, except TCR, of course, where it's a battle for P2 and 3. But right on board with Rankin, the young man racing for Little King Racing yet again this season. No one's picked him up for an official team. And again, he's got a bit of work to do here to pass the ever-quick DJ Alessandrini, one of the quickest in the world in the MX-5, heading towards 7. Bit hot on the brakes, isn't he, Tyler?
Yeah, I was about to just say the exact same thing. He may kind of want to back that up a little bit, because one other thing that this new tire model has on it that we really haven't seen in the past is the amount of tire wear that you can get. Now, while that was a thing on the version 6 tire model, on this new V7 tire model, we have you get a bit more realistic tire wear. You can get these tires too hot and then they will become really greasy for you. So this is something that these drivers really have to keep in mind, that some of the time it may be better nowadays to sit behind someone and not overheat those tires, don't overcook them in the first few laps, because it can be really crucial for you later on in the race to have those tires to your advantage and not have to come in early because you have bad tire wear.
And talking about that, strategy is going to come into play this race too. And the TCR cars are expecting to come in around the 30 to 45 minute mark in this race. So after that half an hour mark ticks, expecting those Audis to come into the pit lane for their one and only stop. They'll probably take 4 tires. The Mustangs will come in around that half an hour to 40 minute mark as well. And the MX-5s has the biggest window. It can be anything between 25 to 45 minutes as we watch this battle for the lead continue between Alessandrini, Rankin, Rob Hartley, our champion from last season, and John Allen. And then behind them, it's the second train of Travis Schwenke and D2D Esports' David Payton, with the Canadian closely behind him. This is Derek Holland for Indy Autosport on screen. There's his handsome mug at the bottom of the screen too for Derek Holland. And again, you mentioned it, Tyler. New tire model, V7. It's really grown on people throughout iRacing since it's been released.
Yeah, I think that it was one of the more negative things when it came to iRacing. I think a lot of people were super skeptical after it got released on the Skip Barber car. And then everyone started figuring out all the tips and tricks with it, how the tire model worked, and they started to really realize how realistic the tire model really was. And I think that that kind of changed a lot of people's perspectives on how everything went with it. I think that they just started to accept it a little bit more and just thinking, okay, well, this is more realistic, so therefore it must be better.
We remain on board with Geordie Fike here, remain from the chopper cam, I should say. So, the race today, of course, presented by sponsors Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment and Performer Elite Texas Graphics. They'll be keeping an eye on all our onboard cameras. Our race steward sponsored by them, qualifying as well earlier. Check them out, of course, at their associated websites as we still watch Tyler Shiflett here. Close with Clint Vigas. These two drivers, teammates last season, they come back again as teammates for this year, and it looks like the two teammates this time, instead of battling for second and third, Tyler, they'll be battling for that final podium position, so it can get a little bit more spicy.
Yeah, that could maybe provoke these guys to do a little bit more aggressive moves, you could say, and I think that that also could possibly change now that the season started over. Maybe these guys are kind of thinking, okay, well, second place is nearly out of the window. Now we just have to fight like cats and dogs for P3. So
we're watching the two teammates going at it. And This is your battle for third in this class. They can see the leaders up ahead into the braking zone. So if anything goes wrong between Mike Dam and Aeronom, we'll wait and see. Now let's put this into the picture, Tyler. Aeronom is one of the best out there in this series when it comes to strategy. He always gets it right. So if you're Mike Dam and you're half a second ahead of Aeronom, Nom is going to find a way strategically come pit stop time to nullify that gap and possibly steal the lead.
Yeah, Aeronom really is, I think, one of the best strategy gurus on iRacing right now, and at least in the series. I personally haven't seen the guy mess up a strategy. Now, I probably just commentators cursed Aeronom so badly right now, and I really do apologize, Aero, but I've never seen him made a mistake on strategy. He's always been spot on with these, and I just don't think he's going to start making mistakes now in the series. So I think that we could see Aeronom come out of the pit stops half second or a second ahead of Mike Dam.
Yeah, it certainly could. There is the Estonian on screen. Have a look at Mr. Tyler Shiflett trying to go defensive in the background. It's a brilliant sight here on this back straight. Then we see that battle between three of your Mustangs behind, between 5th to 7th. Cameron Martineau sandwiched by a couple of others. Looking back at Kevin Carlisle. Oh, Aeronom's very close in the foreground, I should say there. You can see in the back end of the shot. Aeronom, is he having a look here into one? No, he isn't. But he certainly looked close there, Tyler, as we look from the chopper cam here. Don't think he can throw it up the inside into the first sector, but definitely a possibility into 7.
Yeah, certainly could be a possibility here for Aeronom, but I just don't think he's going to do it. I think he's just going to stick behind Mike Dam. I think that he knows that he has good pace, and I think that he knows that he really can get by him in the pit stop, so I just don't think that there's any reason for Aeronom to go back by. But the battles in your MX-5 have started to closen up here. The top 4 separated by just over 1 second here in your MX-5 field as they all wind their way through sunset.
Can I add that? Look at the timing screen. Aeronom leads this race now. We snatched that advantage from Mike Dam, and I think he's made his way up the inside at the hairpin at turn 7. So a brilliant pass by the Estonian. And here's the replay on screen. Tyler, talk us through it.
So I think that this is just a clean and simple pass here down into 7. He's going to look to the inside. Out breaks Mike Dam. And I think Mike Dam actually just let him have that one. Aeronom actually kind of overshot the corner, if I'm honest there. So Mike Dam really didn't have to let him have it, but he certainly did.
Yeah, Mike Dam tried to go for a late apex unnecessarily, just with how Aeronom carried so much apex speed. So Mike Dam will be reviewing this race, probably learning his lesson there. Now we start to see the cars lap for the first time. This is Kevin Carlisle making his way past the back end of the order here of your MX-5s. This is Matthew Madigan on screen for Nerdworks Racing, another Audi RS3. And Matthew Madigan, again, another driver, Tyler, who's ever so quick in in the rallycross cars, along with Kevin Carlisle. These two now in 4th and 3rd. I don't know if you can use any rallycross experience in the road section of iRacing, but they're going to have to find it right now.
Oh, Robert Hartley's had an off here. Robert Hartley's in the wall.
That's our champion from last season. Here's the Excite Racing driver. And he's thrown it up the inside of both cars for the lead. Oh, and he's made some contact there with DJ Alessandrini.
I think that was a brake failure for Mike Dam. I think that he just had a brake failure in that car. That does not look to me like a dive.
Yeah, it could either be that or he's just outbraked himself, which is very rare to see. But for Rob Hartley, there's damage to that number 3 MX-5, and there's also damage to the leader of DJ Alessandrini. Could this gift Elvis Rankin an opportunity here for the lead? This is DJ Alessandrini on screen. Now, what's he doing there? Is he just defending the lead from Rankin? There's no point breaking the toe, I don't think, from 1.1 seconds ahead.
I think
he's
that he was
letting a car
trying to
through.
give that TCR car a bit of an easier time in getting by him. Yeah, like you said, there's really no sense in trying to break the toe on the driver behind you, but that's actually just given Elvis Rankin a little bit more gap knowing that he has to catch up to race leader DJ Alessandrini.
Yeah, most certainly. So this race now this came a little bit more interesting as the gaps, look at the gaps in your TCR field at the top left-hand side of the screen. As we said, you can identify each class of car with a different color this season. New colors, of course, with the addition of that TCR class. There it is at the top of the screen. Blue for your TCR class, gray for your Mustangs this time out, and we keep the green for the MX-5s to remain consistent. But there is Kevin Carlisle. He's lost about 5 seconds to Brandon Whitworth through traffic.
Yes, he certainly did lose a little bit of time there, but I don't think that that's too big of a deal here for Kevin Carlisle, because if he can kind of go on a bit of a tire-saving run here, and he doesn't burn the tires off in this TCR car, because the front tires, if you push them, will really start to burn off about 45 minutes through the race if they're allowed to run a full tank of fuel. That's what I found from my personal experience, at least. But if they can come in around the 35-minute mark before those tires hit a super hard edge, but if Kevin Carlisle can even just keep those tires more balanced, I guess, than Brandon Whitworth, and he can keep the tire wear a bit lower, then that could be very costly for Brandon Whitworth and can make up Kevin Carlisle a lot of time.
And he's starting to reel in a little bit of time now, down to 4.9. So the updates on the leads, it's still William Laster, who looks like he's got some incredible pace here so far into the first third of the race. 20 minutes through now as the timer ticks at the top left-hand side of the screen. Now, the Mustang order, it's Aeronom who snatched that lead just a few minutes ago from Mike Dam. There he is on screen. Mike Dam's still keeping him honest, though, so we'll keep an eye on the Estonian versus the Canadian. And then down to the MX-5 lead, it's still Alessandrini ahead of Rankin. And I tell you what, track temp at 31 degrees Celsius. Pretty good racing conditions, you could say. For iRacing, we know the cooler it is, the more grip available.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of interested to see, is just kind of how hot it was out there on the racetrack. But that MX-5 right there, I'm trying to see exactly who that was. That was Evan Wood, but that has cost the Aeronom a lot of time to Mike Dam, and now Mike Dam is about to go side by side. He had a look for it, and he doesn't get it, though, here through the Le Mans section. This is one of the most fun sections on the entire racetrack. It's very flat through this section, flatter than you even think. But it leads you on to such an important straightaway. If you don't get a good exit out of Le Mans, then your entire back straightaway, you might as well just write it off.
Yeah, definitely. And they're coming towards a lapped car there. Can't quite see who that is in the MX-5 field. But, man, this is heating up. I thought Aeronom, to be honest with you, was going to run away with it. But we're forgetting the talent that's present with Mike Dam. And they head through the final corner one more time. We'll keep an eye on this battle during our first ad break for the day, but we've got pit stops coming up, and we don't want to miss them. We'll see you shortly. You're watching the first round for Season 16 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series.
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring, Florida, here at Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us today. We're going to do a track guide around the course, this 3.75 mile road course. This track was originally built back in the late 1940s, post-war. There was a gentleman who was an aeronautical engineer here at Hendricks Army Airfield, and he decided he wanted to hold a sports car event here, something similar to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He decided to hold the event on New Year's Eve in 1950. The first event was the 6 Hours of Sebring. 2 years later, the 12 Hours of Sebring was born. As we approach Sunset Bend here, this is the final turn on the course. We're going to come out of here and take you to the stripe, and we'll get this lap underway for you. It's very fast.
Welcome back to round number 1 for season 16 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series. We have our first pit stops coming up. Nobody's serviced their vehicles coming into the lane yet. But the one thing we're going to look out for is the battle for the lead here in your Mustang class. We just had an eye on it, and that was between Aeronom and Mike Dam. They were oh so close to each other right now. This is Brennan Horan, who's got a lot of damage to his car, Tyler. And was it sustained here?
It was not, so I'm going to continue to search for that, but we're going to jump back live here. We're going to go back to some live pictures. We'll look up here at your GS battle, which conveniently is right up on the same straightaway. And we're just going to watch this battle for the lead here. Aeronom having to defend for Mike Dam. No one into the box just yet. At least between these two, they're all out and away. And actually, no one's been in the box so far through the entire field, like you said.
That's the voice of Tyler Maxson, my co-commentator alongside myself, Jonathan Simon. Tyler Maxson also on production today for our Apex Racing TV broadcast for round number 1 of the new decade. The series presented, of course, by Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment and Performer Elite Texas graphics. This is what's happened to Brennan Horan. And I'll tell you what, I feel like that car's, I don't know, is that an iRacing glitch? Is that car already being damaged?
No, he certainly sustained the damage here. This was about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Oh, he missed a gear and got hit from behind.
Okay, so excuse me, that's a part locally on my screen. That's an error where I didn't see. Now, Aeronom and Mike Dam were awfully close heading into 7. Now, what's happened to Elvis Rankin here? He's lost a position to John Allen. John Allen, who was 4th. Remember, Robert Hartley, who's in 7th, had a spin at the turn 7 hairpin. Ran it a bit too hot and actually collected DJ Alessandrini. But Rankin has been passed by the Defined AutoWorks driver, and here's where it happened.
This is pretty much just a straightforward move down in towards turn 17. John Allen pulls out to the right, and Elvis Rankin gives him the room to do it. So very respectable driving here by your front 3 in your MX-5. These guys really have been the class acts of the field so far today, giving each other a lot of room and really not being a whole lot of aggressive towards each other. This has really been a nice battle to watch.
Certainly has been. Now, we talked about pit stops. We already have Jeff Jacobs servicing his Ford Mustang for the first time this season. And he'll cycle himself down the order. He's actually just exited the pit lane. He's behind the leaders of your MX-5 class. So technically, he's in a battle for position. Have a look at Aeronom, though, our leader. He's entered the box. Mike Dam follows him.
Yeah, I had a feeling that these two were pretty much just going to mimic strategy. Mike Dam can't afford to lose that time to Aeronom. He knows how good Aero is on the strategy. There's no sense in doing anything different than him, especially whenever you're fighting him that close. You might as well just follow him in.
Well, there are fuel limits set to these cars, and the rule book, as it states, the Mustang has a 47% fuel limit. So that's 7.2 gallons or 27 liters. So for Mike Dam, if you're wondering, why did he come in at the same time as leader Aeronom? Well, maybe he didn't have enough fuel left. That's the question. And the two of them will fight for the lead. This is Derek Holland still on screen. I'd love to have a look at where Aeronom's fed out in comparison to Mike Dam. Aeronom's, I'm a bit confused here. What's happened? Mike Dam's way a lot further behind here. Has Aeronom taken 2 tires? We're expecting, Tyler, our Mustang drivers to only take 2 tires. Has Mike Dam elected for 4?
Let's see here. Try to get a bit better camera angle. There's not really much that I can do.
Oh, so Aeronom took 2 tires. Pretty sure Aeronom only went for left side tires.
Yes, he did. Now, did Mike Dam go for 4? That's the question. Let's keep on watching here and see how many tires Mike Dam went for. Because if he went for 4 tires, that could prove, yes, he did.
Yeah, so that's very, very interesting. Now, we've seen this risk taken in the past, I think, and it's paid off for some drivers. So Mike Dam sacrificed 4 seconds there, Tyler, to Aeronom. He's going to lose the draft, but he's going to have fresher rubber. I think it's a risk worth taking, to be honest with you, by Mike Dam.
I would personally agree with you. And as we also see 2 TCR cars come in for their first stop of the season, that's Chad Parker and Edgar Sancinelli. So those will be the first of your TCR cars to make their stops this season. Edgar Sancinelli obviously having that first lap, actually not even first lap, it was that out lap contact with the barrier, so not how he would have wanted to start up his season, and he comes out right in these MX-5 traffic at the moment.
Pace lap contact, not even an out lap. It was way before the beginning of the race, so ironically, for about the first 45 seconds, Tyler, it was like the biggest incident we had, and it wasn't even part of the race. As we watch here, Nom 3.5 seconds now ahead of Mike Dam. So that's our official gap. We'll keep an eye on that, Tyler. Let's write it down on the notepad or something. So if Mike Dam can creep in that gap, it'll be very interesting. Now, in the foreground there, you saw William Laster enter the pit lane. Brandon Whitworth joins him. Matthew Madigan joins him too, but Kevin Carlisle continues. He'll lead a lap. I think he crossed the line just ahead to lead that lap officially, but the 3 of your 4 leaders make that 4 for 5 for your TCR cars, all in at the same time. It's a pit party to begin the season.
Now let's see here. I'm interested to see whether drivers take tires. I believe that is the car of, let me see if I can get a better camera angle here for you. Yes, so William Laster takes tires. He will go for what looks to be 4 tires here in your TCR field. Now, interesting enough, I saw Chad Parker not decide to take tires. He went for no tires. William Laster is out and away. Let's see how quickly Brandon Whitworth goes. He's out and away as well. Matthew Madigan next to leave the box, and he will. Kevin Carlisle, the only of your TCR drivers right now to yet to pit, but it'll be interesting to see whether he decides to go for 2 or 4 tires, because that could be a crucial decision in this race. And I think it really comes down to confidence on the cold tires.
Yeah, certainly will. We'll see whether or not Carlisle's pace can handle these old tires. Whether or not the cold tires, Tyler, of that Audi will be able to handle these outlaps. So this could play to the beneficiary of Kevin Carlisle, but he's got a lot of traffic here to dispose of. That looks like Iro Nom, the Team Bushwink driver. My eyes may be deceiving me. And by the way, it is Iro Nom. So that's essentially effective leader Iro Nom from your Mustang class, the GS class, also known as Grand Sport. Kevin Carlisle's lost a bit of time stuck behind him, but have a look at the gap here, Tyler, between Iro Nom and Mike Dam. Half a second wiped off in a lap.
Yeah, one thing we also need to take note of, Alessandrini has come into the pit lane. He's already done his stop. He's fighting with Elvis Rankin, who's out in the way of the box. So this is going to be the decision here. Did DJ Alessandrini's decision pay off for him? Is he going to be able to overtake Elvis Rankin? The answer to that, I think, is going to be no. I think Elvis Rankin may have just played the strategy to perfection. And yes, he has. He comes out nearly 1.5 seconds clear of DJ Alessandrini behind him.
Oh, when he's pushed through into the first corner, off into the gravel. And the Grid Live iRacers driver just somehow keeps that car away from the barriers. He is now behind. Elvis Rankin, the young man, becomes our effective leader. Look at that. There's so many cars in the pit lane, you wouldn't know who's who. Well, I'll tell you what, ironically, that's definitely Kevin Carlisle in his box there in the Audi TCR. He's the only TCR car in his box here. Where's William Laster, though? Is he at? So it's hard to see from the track map. Tyler, I'll tell you what, I love our track map, but with around 50 cars here, it's always difficult to see who's where.
Yeah, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you here. I thought I did this before, but I guess I did not. There you go. That's an easy way to tell. And Kevin Carlisle, he's going to come out in nearly 4th place here. Matthew Madigan may just be able to get him on the inside with the momentum, and yes, he will. So wow. Kevin Carlisle goes down to 4th.
And the outlap paying off. Fresher tires for your top 3. So Carlisle now will have fresher tires for the rest of the event, but you'll have to make overtakes out there on the racetrack. Look at him struggle for grip there in that front-wheel drive Audi as he just has no temperature in the rubber. Here's Iro Nom, who now officially reclaims the lead, but he's 2 seconds ahead of the Canadian of Mike Dam. So that gamble for 4 tires for Mike Dam, it's paying dividends. He's got 25 minutes to make a move for the win.
And if you keep an eye there on our little chart, it shows you how much time they have. So we'll go down to here just to 2 laps just to make it a little bit easier to see. So he cut out 0.6 of a second on lap 14. He's now cut out a whole second here on lap 15 of this race. So Mike Dam may be in the best position to take a victory here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series and start off his season the right way.
Yeah, this is there's one of the MX-5s out of the way. So John Allen's out of the pit lane. Can I tell you something? Is John Allen leading this race? Have we missed that for a second? He's ever so close to Elvis Rankin for the lead. There is John Allen. Where's Elvis Rankin? John Allen leads.
I want to know how we just missed that for nearly 2 laps. So John Allen has now taken over the race lead. Elvis Rankin is down to second. And Alessandrini, after leading the majority of this race, is down to third.
John Allen did win a race last season, and he came awfully close to not winning one. Now, with Robert Hartley champion down in 7th with a bit of damage to his MX-5, has the damage cost Alessandrini, do you think, any pit time?
I'm not sure. It depends on whether he took the optional repairs or not, or even if he had some optional repairs. That could have even just been a bit of netcode damage. You never know. iRacing has a bit of weird, quirky things sometimes with it. But you never know really what happens there, but I just don't think that would have cost him that much time. Maybe he shook up his confidence a little bit or possibly had a bit of negative setup impacts on the car, but I don't think that would have caused too much pit stop time.
And the defined auto works driver of John Allen was season 13 champion, don't forget, a few seasons ago, and he hasn't gone winless in a season since season 12 for your ST class, your Mazda MX-5 cars, and he could be repeating that again for season 16, kicking off the season on a high.
They certainly could be. We'll have to see how everything ends out with that one. The thing that I'm most interested in, though, is this Mustang gap. It's now down to 1.6 seconds. I mean, right now, Mike Dam is just taking huge amounts of time out of Aeronom as he gets held up, though, and loses 2.5 tenths. But he's taking huge amounts of time out of Aeronom, and I think Aeronom at this point really needs to be hoping that the traffic works in his favor and doesn't work in the favor of Mike Dam if he's wanting to do himself any favors here towards the end of the race. But we'll never know, though. We've seen Aeronom do this in the past and kind of save a bit of fuel and just to have that little bit extra so he can push really hard towards the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And what did I tell you, Tyler, before? Aeronom is almost faultless when it comes to strategy. This time round, I don't really think Aeronom's done anything wrong strategy-wise. I think it's more Mike Dam taking a gamble that's paid off.
I completely agree. I don't think that Aeronom per se has butchered the strategy. I think that right now, Mike Dam, he knew that he had to do something to overpower Aeronom because he knew if he was on the same strategy that Aero would pull out some of his tricks and it would be very difficult for him to take the win. And I think that what Mike Dam said was, okay, well, I'm just going to go try a gamble strategy here. I've got nothing to lose, and obviously it's paying off wonderfully for him. Now, he still has to close up another 1.8 seconds, but if he can do that, then this could be an amazing strategy here for Mike Dam.
Certainly could be.
Oh, and contact here. Sorry to interrupt you there, Johnny, but Daniel Rash has gotten by Tyler Shiflett. There was some contact involved, and Shiflett slow. Shiflett may be out of this race.
Issues for the Mech Motorsports driver. His teammate Clint Vigas makes his way past. But an incident, Tyler, that we'll look through in a moment's time. And the other Tyler Shiflett, unfortunately, out of the event.
So Tyler Shiflett with problems. We'll see what happened here. Let's actually watch this replay here one more time. Sorry, let's go right back to it. And we'll get a nice little chopper cam and see what happened. They were side by side all the way through turn one was Shiflett and Daniel Rash. And up and over the curb, a little bit of contact there. And Tyler Shiflett just slows down a little bit. He pushes a little bit wide. And then he has what seems to be a loss of power for that Mustang. So I'm not quite sure exactly what happened. he keeps it going, and now he's back on a pace. I'm really not quite sure exactly what kind of problem Tyler Shiflett was having.
Yeah, most certainly. And now we switch back to the lead here between Aeronom and Mike Dam. So, unfortunately for Shiflett, may potentially won't be a podium for him. He's still in contention now. I did say he was out of the race. He's still in there in 5th, excuse me. But I tell you what, the two-man motorsports teammates, this could be a turn for the worse for them. Now we switch back to DJ Alessandrini. He's hounding the young man of Elvis Rankin here on the main straight at Sebring. They begin another lap. This is, I mean, is this an overtaking spot, Tyler? I don't know. He's going to prove it.
I think every corner on the track is an overtaking spot for the MX-5s, just whether or how easy it is or not. But Alessandrini makes it work, and he sends it down the inside in turn number 1. Elvis Rankin has to settle for P3, and they head through this section. You can see how much of a handful that rear end looks to be on DJ Alessandrini's car. He's able to make it work, though, and he's very quick in doing so.
Yeah, so a brilliant pass there by our pole position sitter. He's got 3 seconds to make up the road to our leader of John Allen. Rankin, I thought, was going to have another peak there to reclaim the 2nd position, but for Elvis Rankin, a podium to kick off the season, Tyler, would be still a phenomenal result for the young man.
It certainly would be. This would be a great way to start off his season. Obviously, he's racing in the pros, so he's up with some of the best drivers in the league. And as of right now, I actually don't even see any open drivers for the ST field. So it looks to me like we have 3 pro classes out there.
Still a lot of time left in this race here. And 17 minutes in round 1. It's been a thrilling middle part of the race. Beginning of the race was a little, I don't want to say dull, but it wasn't as much action as we usually see in the series. Our favorite race from last year, Tyler, I mean, it just got better throughout the season, didn't it? Daytona with the new tire model. All the MX-5 drivers went into it as we watched Matthew Madigan here battle for 2nd with Mr. Whitworth. But when we went into Daytona, all the MX-5 drivers, what did they have, 24 hours to practice the new tire model? Not even. It was like 12 hours.
Actually, they went into that race with about 7 or 8 hours. It came out at 12 Eastern time, and the race took place at 8 Eastern time. So they had roughly 8 hours, but most people would have had about 3 or 4 to practice, at least those that have to work 9 to 5 jobs. They would not have had much time to practice that, so they were all really, really new to that. That really did, like you said, made that race incredible.
Certainly did. We still watch Matthew Madigan on screen. Did you catch much of the Rallycross World Championship this year?
Oh, I watched every single round of it.
Oh. Well, it was one of my favorite series for sure, because I actually get to cover it. I'm not really allowed to cover any of the other series, but anyway, salt aside. Matthew Madigan here, right behind Whitworth. Madigan had a brilliant, didn't have the best of rookie campaigns, but the Nerdworks racing driver is one of the quickest in the service, and you see, like, the Ricmotech Sportscar Series, a lot of talent still out there. This is a non-World Championship series, and you have 2 of the best drivers in the world here, Madigan and Carlisle, not even in 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, you certainly do, and that's just the difference, though. I think that while Rallycross can really be a great platform, it just doesn't really transfer over to these front-wheel drive touring cars. Like, per se, it almost transfers better to the MX-5, in my opinion, than the TCR car, because the TCR car really doesn't drive like anything on the service. Honestly, it doesn't even drive like its predecessor, the Kia, and it's really just a very different car for these drivers to learn, and some drivers just really can't figure out front-wheel drive. This is something that we see in the real world as well as on the simulator, some guys just aren't fast. Even the fastest drivers in the world sometimes just can't figure this TCR car out.
Have a look at this now. Matt Madigan, while lapping Ricardo Zonta. No, I'm joking. It looks like, though, the Schumacher-Hakkinen pass, doesn't it? At Sebring, recreated for our American audience. It's not Belgium, it's not Spa, but it's somewhere in between. The bumps there through the final corner, you saw the TCR car oscillate quite aggressively of Matthew Madigan's Nerdworks vehicle, but now he's on the main stretch. He's creeping in closer and closer. We saw it happen with Alessandrini earlier. Could happen again here with Madigan. He backs off, though.
And look at this. Look who's coming up in the rearview mirror for Matt Madigan. It is Kevin Carlisle. He is coming on strong here in that Apex Racing Team car, and he's now within 1 second of this group and closing. So keep an eye on Kevin Carlisle, and don't forget about him because he really could be a threat towards the end of this race. Let's also jump back here to your GS field. Look at Mike Dam now. He's down to 0.7 of a second. He's got 15 minutes, just under 15 minutes, sorry, to close up that 0.8 of a second and get by Aeronam. But it's one thing to catch Aeronam, it's another thing to pass him.
Exactly. That's what Murray Walker always said. And it's exactly right. Now, we'll keep an eye on this battle, but what's happened to Kevin Carlisle, Tyler? Is that our timing screen playing up, or is he actually out of the race? He's currently in 7th. He could be having some technical connection issues perhaps here, which is just a part of sim racing. But if that's the case, this is a turn for the worse for the American.
Kevin Carlisle hasn't crashed here, so I'm not exactly sure what's gone on, but I think, is he back to the box now? No, he's still not here.
As soon as you switched off camera, he just disappeared from the timing screen. Literally, as soon as you switched to the Mustang battle, he switched out of there. So we'll watch a replay here of the incident.
So this is just here with Chad Parker. I'm just trying to see if he ever saw. No, I think he's just disconnected from the server.
It's a ghost town. It's like a ghost town right now, whatever's going on right now. So
yeah, he's just disconnected from the server.
Oh, that's very, very unfortunate. So
oh, he's back
looks
out.
Like Parker. Oh, he's out there, really?
Yeah, so he's just had a bit of connection issues. He's reset back to the pit lane. And now Kevin Carlisle seems to be okay, but that is some major connection issues and some big, big repercussions there for Kevin Carlisle. That's going to cost him a lot of points in the series.
Yeah, so what's happened? Why has it not counted his lap time? Has he had to go back into the pit lane? I'm a bit confused with how this all works.
Because so the way iRacing works, when you have a disconnection, it takes you back to the pit lane, and unless enough time has passed, basically, for the other drivers to have crossed the finish line, then you won't cross the finish line, because if not, you will be considered ahead of them. So they put you on the same lap as your lead lap car if you disconnected on it, from my understanding.
Okay, so the reason I'm confused is because I didn't know he went back to the pit lane. I thought he just continued driving, and iRacing didn't send him back. So obviously he'll see a lot more locally from his perspective. But I'll tell you what, that's one of the worst ways to begin your season. But I've seen many races. I'm a big Formula One fan, especially a lot of seasons of Formula One in the 60s and the 70s. A lot of champions ended up beginning their season with 1 or 2 DNFs and non-point scoring finishes. For Kevin Carlisle, it could be worse. It's still a good strong haul of points for him. He'll miss out on, I mean, what position is he, Tyler? It's down the order, so he'll lose compared to 4th. That could only be a 6-point loss. Not the biggest deal in the world.
No, that's certainly not the biggest deal, but we have a replay up on your screen. Lucas Ford way outbrakes himself. He did exactly what Robert Hartley did a couple laps ago, but this time doesn't make contact with anyone. He's able to go through the grass and keep it under control. But look at this here. This is for second place. John Allen is way up the road. He's pretty much out of thought for both DJ Alessandrini and Elvis Rankin. They're battling each other for P2. And meanwhile, the battle for your GS leading has come down. It's now down to 0.2 of a second, and Mike Dam is looking really strong in that Cryptology Racing orange car.
Yep, good start from Mike Dam, who had 4 tires at his pit stop in comparison to the Estonians 2 up ahead of him. Aeronom, who hasn't lost a race since season 14. Hasn't won a race, I should say, is better phrase. And he could miss out on his first win in over a season today here at Sebring if Mike Dam can reel him in. This is still Whitworth, who's done it. I'll tell you what, a phenomenal job today, Tyler, of defending that second position. Nobody's been able to make their way past the D2D Esports driver.
Yeah, they really haven't here. He has been absolutely incredible. The only one that's been faster than him and he really hasn't gotten the airtime that he deserves is William Laster in that F4H racing car right now. He is currently 17 seconds clear of Brandon Whitworth and Matt Madigan for P2 and P3, and he has just commanded this race. He's led every single lap of it. It's an Aero. This is like an Aeronom performance that we've seen Aero do in the past in the GS field.
Yeah, exactly. So with William Laster, could he be overall champion of the series? $35 of prize money to the champion at the end of the campaign for each of our Pro Division champions. It's not going to turn you into Mark Zuckerberg, is it, Tyler? But it's something just a benefit for you. You can spend it back on your sim racing equipment, buy yourself a product, possibly even from some Extreme Motorsports products, something from Performer Elite Texas Graphics, something to spend and reward you for the fun times you have here on these Monday nights.
You could certainly even turn that into something with our series sponsor, Ricmotech. I mean, you can jump over there. They have amazing products over there on their website, and they have thousands of them, too. I mean, I just get lost just looking through there. I end up spending hours on their website looking through, so make sure to check them out, by the way, over at Ricmotech. Obviously, the series sponsor and making everything really happen along with the Extreme Motorsports guys, so they do a lot for the series. But let's jump back here to the TCR battle. Brandon Whitworth and Matt Madigan, they're still going at it hardcore here. And they are really looking for absolutely every inch of the racing surface they can use.
And we've got a lot of people watching here on all our associated platforms. So if you are watching here with just over 5 minutes remaining, have a tip as to who you think will be victor of today's race for any class you're keeping an eye on, whether that's William Laster, whether you think it's going to be Aeronom or Mike Dam, or whether you think John Allen will be able to maintain his lead against one of the most competitive fields I've seen in iRacing history here in the MX-5s. Now, Lucas Ford has entered his box for what looks like his second stop of the day. And is that because of what happened a few minutes ago, Tyler?
It certainly could be. I'm not exactly too sure. And actually, it looks to me like he's crashed again.
Oh, man. So he's made the switch from the Mustang to the MX-5. There's the old car. Now, that's a striking livery, it has to be said. Goodness me, he's gone straight into the barrier. Now, has he just... I don't know. That's very weird. Has he unwound the steering wheel? But you'd be interested to see an onboard shot of that. Because Lucas Ford, I feel like, could have avoided that. Maybe just if he released the throttle, maybe if he released the brake pedal. Sometimes holding the brake pedal there can just send you straight into the barriers, if that makes sense.
From the looks of that, to me, it looks as if he got in a little bit too deep. The rear end started to come around on him just slightly, and he could kind of get a little bit of that feeling. And in the TCR car, and really in front-wheel drive cars in general, it's best to just hold the power, and that rear end will kind of tow wherever the front end goes. So I think that's what he was trying to do there, but ended up getting on the power a little bit too much. It didn't quite have the effect that he wanted, and that ended up putting him into the barrier. But we have side-by-side for your lead. And GS, Mike Dam tries it around the outside of Aeronom. Aeronom on the tight end sideline, and I think he's going to be able to hold the lead for now. We have 5 minutes left to go in this race, and these two are starting to go at it.
Certainly are. Will Aeronom continue his streak of race wins? Or will that go to Mike Dam? Will he take Aeronom off the top step of the podium for the first time in over a season? This is Elvis Rankin searching for the second position here. And the more these two scrap, John Allen's going to love it. He's going to have that buffer to fall back on. Robert Hartley, by the way, has dropped down to 8th, our champion from last season. It's an even worse start to the season for him after his early incident into the hairpin. Could he have won this race, Tyler, had he not gone too hot into 7?
I think that he definitely could have been a contender for the race win, but I just don't think that you can really call these races. I mean, they are so difficult to call when they're 2 minutes from the end, much less nearly 30. I think that he definitely could have been a challenger for the race victory, but I don't think that he would have for sure won it.
Here we go, it's on. Elvis Rankin close behind, and then we watch Matthew Madigan. He's ahead of Brandon Whitworth. Finally, someone knocks the D2D Esports driver off second position. And Matthew Madigan, not stable under brakes into turn 10, but heading to tower turn 13, finally into the second position.
So Matt Madigan is now up into second place. Brandon Whitworth is down to third. How is the D2D Esports driver going to be able to react? He's not been in third place. He hasn't been behind. But I think that Brandon Whitworth here has been struggling for quite some time. I mean, we saw that with Kevin Carlisle and how quickly he caught up to the back of these two when he had such a large gap to catch. So could this be where Brandon Whitworth starts to fall off, or is he have the pace to get back by Matt Madigan?
Mike Dam versus Zero and On for the lead. The Canadian going for the switchback. Oh, he was millimeters from the grass there around the outside. And now he has an opportunity here on the Estonian. Mike Dam returning to the Mustang after missing out on the MX5 championship by 1 point, looking for the lead. He dabs the brakes there on the apex just to make the exit of the corner. And Aeronom will maintain that lead advantage here, heading into the first sector.
So Aeronom will maintain the lead. We only have just about 3 minutes left in this race. Edgar Sechinelli will mow the grass as they head on to the final back straightaway there. But Mike Dam, he is ever so close to the rear end of Aeronom. He's going to look for another move. He's going to try it around the outside. Aeronom's going to cover it. And Mike Dam's going to let him do it here. Down in towards the hotel turn. Now out of turn 7 and down the little short back straightaway, you could call it here, and into turn number 9.
Remember, it was 7 wins from 7 for Aeronom. This will be 8 from 8 here to begin the new season. Oh, it's going to be so close here for our multiple champion in the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series. Heading to turn 13 yet another time. We got one of the TCR vehicles coming in now. That looks like, hard to see, is that the Nerdworks car of Madigan? It is Madigan. So this is critical right now. Battle for second and third, and the battle for the win going on at the same time in 2 separate classes. This could end ugly if these drivers don't handle this right.
Yeah, it certainly could, but this is only costing Whitworth even more time. He's now up to 9/10 of a second behind Matt Madigan. But the battle for the lead still hasn't changed in your GS field. It's still 3/10 between Nom and Dam. That gap is only shrinking as they head down the back straightaway now. So this is the battle for the lead. This is going to seal the deal for your GS class. Last season
now,
he was dominated by Aeronom. Now he's got a challenger.
William Laster, I think, has just crossed the finish line. So William Laster was on his final lap of the race here through the first sector. He should claim his first win of the season, his first win in his new series here for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series. The battle for the win yet again here in your Mustang GS class and the Grand Sport cars. Not going defensive. No, he's not going defensive. He's trying to make his way past the lapped car there in your ST class. Mike Dam hounding the Estonian through the first sector. Now this is where you need the run, Tyler, through here all the way for this long straight down to turn 7.
I don't think that Aeronom's going to give Mike Dam the opportunity down into 7. If he is, he's going to have to get a little bit physical for it. Aeronom's going to defend just a little bit, just enough to get by the lap car. Mike Dam not able to get down the inside. The lap car gets by, gets out of the way nicely there. I think that was Jordy Fike just there in the background, but now Mike Dam is all over the back of Aeronom, but Aero's actually kind of pulled him a little bit out of the hotel turn, and now it's going to be a straight-up battle, and who can get the draft to their advantage and head on down the back straightaway and up the front straight.
And we've just heard word that John Allen is out of the lead for your MX5 class here. John Allen down to 3rd with what looks like a late race incident. We'll bring you all of this after the race because that could hand the win to either of those two just in shot of DJ Alessandrini or Elvis Rankin. Where is William Laster though? Because he's about to win the first race of the season. And the Audi TCR car, we're still trying to look for him. There he is, through the final corner goes William Laster, and the F4H racing driver will win from Sebring for round 1, and what a dominant event it was. He will win the first ever, the inaugural race for our TCR class. Who's going to win our Mustang race? Will it be the Estonian Aeronom? Continuing his win streak, they're going to have to be careful with the lapped MX5 here. Will Mike Dam give him a bump and run through Sunset Bend? It's definitely going to be a drag race to the line. I think the Estonian's done it. Aeronom will win if he's got enough fuel remaining, because I've seen that happen in the past here at Sebring. He will be confirmed winner. And now we need a look at our lead for the MX5s.
We certainly do, because it is close, close, close. Elvis Rankin looking for his first pro win in the series. Alessandrini looking to start his season off right. And as they work their way now through the second longest straightaway, well, not really straightaway, but you get the point, on the racetrack. DJ Alessandrini, I've been talking about Aeronom so much, I tried to say Aeronom. But Alessandrini now having to defend here from Elvis Rankin, and I don't think it's going to be a straight-up drag race to the line. I don't think Elvis is going to be able to get a move in right yet, and we'll go to the chopper cam to watch it. Now, down the back stretch for the final time. Does Alessandrini defend? Yes, he does. Elvis Rankin has the run. Now it's straight up. How does Rankin get down through 17? He's going to look to the inside, down into 17.
Rankin vehemently attacks, and this could be his first race win of the series. Going for the switchback is DJ Alessandrini. Is it enough for the young man? It looks like a drag race to the line. Who's it going to be? Elvis Rankin wins round number 1 for our ST class.
What a race then in your ST class. Elvis Rankin comes home with his first victory, and that was about as close as you can get for your first victory in the series. Just 5/100 separated them there at the line. What's happened to David Payton? Let's try and figure out a replay here of what happened. Sorry to John Allen, actually. He's out of fuel.
Oh, so it could be a fuel issue. Oh, goodness. Now, does that explain the short pit stop? We know these cars are fuel restricted. So here's the replay on screen, Tyler. But these cars, we know, the Mazda MX-5 is fuel restricted to 5.4 gallons. That's equivalent to 20.4 liters. Has John Allen not filled up that Defined Auto Works car?
I think that you're right. I mean, obviously the other two came in earlier, but I just don't think he had enough fuel.
Wait, he's getting away now on the back straight. He's got fuel in that car, let me tell you that much, Tyler.
He certainly does, but right now I just think that he knows that he's super, super low, so he has to be as critical as possible with his fuel.
Well, why would you park it then? That's the thing. So am I watching the same replay as you? I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is 1 lap early, so they just crossed the line right there for white flag. You can hear he's literally on the clutch pedal. All the way through turn 1, he was on the clutch pedal. From the bridge to the exit of turn 1, he was on the clutch pedal. Now he's working his way through this section on power, but I think that he knows that he's way out of fuel now. He was expecting the race to go 1 lap shorter.
So excuse me. I obviously was not. I had some tech issues on my side. I wasn't watching the same replay as you. I had live pictures, and John Allen, after we saw him park it, remember on the back straight there, on the Almond Straight, he ended up getting going again. He had fuel to make it to the pit lane. I'm not joking, by the way. If I was joking, I mean it's not the right time. I'm being serious. It's so confusing. Can we find out what happened to him when he was passed for the lead as well? Oh, man, I don't know where to start,
I think
man.
what happened when he was passed for the lead. So here's the battle whenever he's passed for the lead on board with DJ Alessandrini. So right now, Alessandrini goes to the outside, and it's just going to be a clean move. John Allen's just going to let him by.
Man, I mean, I don't know. Can we just look at the results? I don't know what to say.
I would love an interview with John Allen, though, because I am very, very confused about what happened. I really need to figure this one out. Results are up on your screen, though.
Yeah, exactly. We will interview each winner this season for each class only, but we'll see if we can get a word, nevertheless, behind the scenes from John Allen. Here's a look at your final race results. William Laster, though, I'll tell you what, an undramatic win for him. And wins by 22 seconds ahead of Matthew Madigan in the Nerdworks car. Madigan earned that second spot, has to be said. Then you have 3 D2D esports cars of Whitworth, Parker, and Childs. Childs, who started last, ends up in 5th, so a brilliant result for him. Kevin Carlisle, who had some late race issues, should have been on the podium, could have been on the podium, and unfortunately will be lamenting this result. Couldn't do anything about those tech issues. It's part of sim racing. And we look to your winners of the Mustang class. It's the Estonia of Aero Nom taking yet another win. No one can knock him off the top step of the podium. It came close, though, between him and Canadian Mike Dam, and the Crypto-G Orange Racing driver won't be back to the drawing board, but he'll be back to looking at where he can find that extra tenth or two to get past the Estonian and win this championship, with Daniel Rash claiming a podium for Rash Racing in that number 1 car to begin his season. The 2 Mech Motorsports drivers, Avigas and Shiflett, off the podium. That's not something they expected for sure. And then the rest of the orders on screen. Then we'll look at your order for the MX-5 class. Elvis Rankin with a victory. How about that, Tyler, for round number 1?
Sorry about that. I have my mic muted. It is the first win, though, for Elvis Rankin in the series. How about that? And what a way to do it here to start off the season right. He definitely waited to the right time to do it. Certainly that indeed, because now he starts off the season as your points leader in your ST field. And it was very close to the line. He really had to work for that one. It was only a half a tenth margin in the end, so a very close gap indeed for Elvis Rankin.
Well, it's time for our first interviews for the season and for the day, and we're still waiting on our TCR winner, but for now, though, we'll bring in Estonian Eero Nom, who's back to victory lane yet again. Happy holidays, Eero. Happy New Year. Not really a new beginning for you, but this time, it's good to see you out there with a bit of competition. What a finish.
Oh, yeah, it was very close, even in the quali 0.016 seconds, so yeah, it will be a tough season this year.
We were discussing, Tyler and myself, before the race, how we were expecting, Eero Nom, he'll be in the TCR this season. We'll see him in that new Audi, and we've seen you testing it a lot in the background. You maintain the Mustang. Why is that? You just seem to love this car.
Yeah, I was planning to go TCR all along, but a few days before the sign-ups, I saw some good Mustang drivers like Daniel Ress and Todorosenko. So I decided to join, and Mike did same.
For you, though, it wasn't the best of starts to the races. You dropped down to 3rd almost. Remember, you were in that battle in the opening few corners. Then ended up passing Mike Dam. Now, were you expecting Mike Dam to take 4 tires? We thought it was a good strategy risk for him to take, and eventually he reeled you in. I don't think you made, and this is something we discussed on the broadcast, I don't think you made a mistake on strategy. I think it was more Mike Dam taking a risk that almost paid off.
Yeah, maybe. I think he had no other choice, maybe, to take a risk and take 4 tires. So, yeah, he was much faster in the end, but it's quite hard to pass here, though he was so close many times with the lap traffic and everything.
And another thing about your race, it was awfully close into the final corner there with Mike Dam. Did you expect him to possibly give you a bump and run or something through the final corners? He was very respectful to you, the Canadian, but I don't know, if you keep winning these races, maybe he's going to get a bit more physical with you maybe in the next few.
Yeah, it was pretty risky because I was slowing down more than I needed. So that way he didn't get any run. So yeah, it was very close, but I don't think he will do any dirty stuff.
And finally, who gets it done for you? You're back in that Team Bushwink car. A lot of people to thank for sure.
I like to thank, like always, all the league drivers this season. Again, a lot of drivers, new drivers, so the traffic was perfect. No issues there. I like to thank all the team admins, sponsors, and you guys in the booth.
Well, it's good to see you back in the car as well, Eero. That was Eero Nom, our winner again. And how many that's not? You've definitely won 8 races in a row, Eero. I can't remember how you finished off season 14 though. Is that 8 races in a row, or is it 9 or more?
I'm not sure. Maybe 17, maybe more. I'm not sure.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's Eero Nom, winner again. Good to see him back out there, Tyler. And you will be alongside a man named Elvis Rankin, Tyler, who ended up taking his first win of his career.
Yeah, it feels really good. DJ put up a really good fight. Nice and clean, just how I like it.
It certainly was close then in the end. It was only a 5/100ths of a second gap between you two. You threw in a last lap, last corner pass for the win. Talk us through that last quarter of a lap there. And were you planning on throwing it in the last corner?
Yeah, I was trying to really hold myself out the whole race. The last lap, I was like, okay, don't go here. Wait till the straightaway, because I knew that was a good spot to get a draft and then pull to the inside. He was going to try and pull a switch back, but I wanted to make sure I was going to cover it, but he just went a little too wide. So at that point, I knew I had it.
You certainly did an amazing job. And kind of talk us through the strategy there. We saw John run out of fuel a little bit, I think, towards the end of that race. So was the strategy at the end always just kind of mimic what the competitors did, or did you have something else in mind?
Well, it seemed like DJ pitted a lap earlier than me, and then John pitted a lap later. So everyone was on different strategies. John didn't take enough fuel, and then I was just trying to wait it out till the end.
You certainly did a great job. Tell us who gets it done for you in that Little King Racing car.
All my sponsors, my race pass, my dad, my mom, for getting me into this league. And it's been a long time coming, and I'm so glad I can finally get it done.
Well, congratulations on your first win of your career, the first win of Season 16, and the championship lead heading out of Sebring. Good luck going into the next few rounds.
Thank you.
Matthew Madigan's another driver who came home in second today. We don't have our winner from TCR of William Laster, but we'll bring you the next best in Matthew Madigan nevertheless. And Matt, can I ask, how did we go through an entire rallycross season together, and our first interview comes about 2 months after the season concluded? I'm not sure how that works.
I know. Me and Kevo were just joking about the same thing, that we both went through an entire season, and now this is the first time I get to talk to you. And I don't know. I had a lot of bad luck in my first World Championship Series. It was a good learning experience, but now on to bigger things and trying to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, most certainly. All eyes are on today's race, of course, though. And for yourself, you started 5th. Now, you picked off Eric Violet, didn't you, in the opening few corners? Then you had Kevin Carlisle's technical issue, which gave you another position. And then finally, I can't believe someone finally passed Brandon Whitworth today. And it was you, and you ended up in second. I think that was the best you could have done.
Yeah, that was he definitely put up a good battle. I tried probably 6-7 over-unders on him, and he was just able to hold it strong, and I was getting a little antsy behind him because I did feel as though I was faster, but I just couldn't figure out a way to get around cleanly. And so I figured I would just kind of stay behind him for a few laps, save the tires, save a little bit of fuel if I needed it. And the lap traffic ended up kind of playing out in my favor. I got a little ballsy, but I knew if I didn't kind of get in front of some of those Miatas and Mustangs and kind of get the distance between me and Brandon through that second hairpin, that he would have just been able to pass me back on the straight.
The tires on this car, we found Kevin Carlisle pitted a lap later than everybody else in the lead. It didn't pay off for him on the outlaps because you guys all undercutted him. But do the tires make does it have that dramatic of a difference if you pit one lap later? Are they that much fresher, or is it not worth it? Is the undercut worth it more than pitting a lap later, if that makes sense?
I don't really know. With the little experience that I have in these types of series with where you're actually pitting, unlike rallycross, and then even kind of throwing in the new tire model, I don't know how much the pit strategy affected it, but I do feel as though kind of hanging out behind somebody for a few laps, letting them kind of get a little antsy and pushing their tires a little bit, I think that played a bigger factor onto the tire wear than anything else. Just trying to get into draft, let it coast as much as I can, and just try to take it easy on the tires.
And finally, a lot of people to thank. That NerdWorks machine has been a quick one in 2019 and already beginning 2020 off on a high. Who'd you like to thank?
Oh, well, of course, I got to thank Terry Rennert at NerdWorks. I wouldn't be where I am in iRacing without him. I also really have to thank Kevin Carlisle for helping me out in TCR, Rallycross, and pretty much anything that we drive. And also have to thank Torrin King of Racing Equals Life for helping me out all the time as well.
Awesome. So, Matt, hopefully we see you again, this time on the top step of the podium in future rounds. But that is your NerdWorks driver and the number 39 there, Tyler. We have one more left to interview for the day. We'll be generous for round number 1 here, and it will be second place driver DJ Alessandrini along with Tyler Maxson.
Barely lost it then in the end. It was just a simple mistake there from you, it looked like, on the over-under. Talk us through that last corner of the last lap and how that all went down.
Elvis was in Discord with me, and I could just hear him like huffing and puffing. He was so nervous going to the last corner. I thought, for sure he's going to like overcook it. He's going to make a mistake. Like, I'm like, there's no way he doesn't. So I didn't want to be I thought for sure he was going to blow the corner, and he handled it beautifully and had like an amazing exit out of it. And I just I turned in a little too early on my over-under, so it delayed throttle a little bit, and I was a little faster coming out of the corner, but not nearly what I needed. So Elvis handled that last corner perfectly and ran a good, clean race the whole time, and he deserved the win tonight.
He certainly did a very good job indeed, and you guys all, your front three really, you, Elvis, and John, all did a very different strategy to each other. You pitted one lap earlier than Elvis. Elvis pitted the next lap, and then John ended up pitting the lap after that. And somehow John was the one who ran out of fuel. So I would...
John doesn't like math.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested. Kind of tell me. I'm really trying to figure out the strategies that you guys play in these cars, because every single time I'm kind of left scratching my head like, what did they exactly do there? So I'm not. So kind of walk me through your thinking on strategy, I guess, and kind of tell us how you go through that.
So I knew I needed to be at least at 1 gallon of fuel in the tank to have enough room to put fuel in to finish the race. I missed that because it snuck up on me, so I was just going to pit the next lap. And I ended up putting about 0.3 gallons too much into the car, so that delayed me a little bit. And then I had some just awful encounters with traffic on my laps leading up to meeting up with those guys. And if it wasn't for putting a little too much fuel in the car, and I honestly lost like 2.5 seconds from just clueless Mustangs just diving on me in like weird spots where I like had to avoid them and like get out of their way. If I didn't have those encounters, then I would have came out pretty well ahead of Elvis. And the moment John came out, I knew he there's no way he put enough fuel in the car. Like right when he came out, I told him, I was like, John, you don't have enough fuel. And sure enough, he didn't. He was banking on 24-lap race, and everything said it was going to be a 25. I bet it was kind of close for John to make that choice, but I'd always rather go safer. I mean, I even went safe on the 25. That's why I put like a little extra fuel in the car.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot to think about when you're behind the wheel of these cars. And you've got a lot going on, even for a 60-minute race. A lot to think about, as you just said. I mean, there is so much preparation and so much work that goes into this. Next round, I can't remember exactly where we go. I'll see if I can actually get my graphic up to tell me. Next time around, we will be at Interlagos. What do you think about that circuit? Is it a track that you relatively like, or is it something that you relatively don't like?
Interlagos, that's like Brazil, right?
Yes, that is the track in Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like that track. I don't think it flows well. There's like a left hand like early in the lap. I don't know what number it is, just because I've never taken the time to learn the track. But there's a left-hander in there that just makes my soul hurt, and I'm not entirely sure why. But it just doesn't feel like it should be as tight as it is, and the runoff is like gargantuan, but you lose a ton of time if you go out there. I think anybody that's driven that course knows what corner I'm talking about.
Turn 4, right? The downhill left-hander.
Yeah, it's like off camber.
I know
it's
what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just, you know what? The rest of the course is pretty okay, but that corner is so awful. It kills it.
All right, so I think that we can confirm DJ Alessandrini does not like that, and that will be a pain to practice for him. But again, congratulations on second place here in Sebring. Who gets it done for you and that Grid Life iRacers team?
All those guys that I'm running with in Discord, they know who they are. And my fiance putting up with just me iRacing all the time and trying to be the best driver I can. And if I could just give myself a shout out real quick, I recently started streaming on Twitch. The Twitch is a work in progress, but it's coming along. I'm trying to get some camera and lighting set up where I'm not dying mid-race from all the lights. But I'll have that figured out shortly. So if you want to pop over there at some point and say hi in the chat, I'd love to talk to you. So see you around.
Well, there you go. Go check out DJ Alessandrini on Twitch. Again, congratulations on second place. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Interlagos.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So that means it's time to wrap up here, Tyler, for today's event. And like Tyler said, these soaring and roaring sports cars will be back racing again for the next race on the 12th of January. That's in 2 weeks' time. Next week, we have our GT round for the Ricmotech GT series. So don't miss that. But the sports car series will be back in a fortnight, and that will be for 60 minutes of racing action around Interlagos itself. DJ Alessandrini's doesn't like turn 4 there, we established. So let's see how he handles it in a couple of weeks' time. That will host round 2 for season 16 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It will be broadcasted on Apex Racing TV on all our associated platforms. Thanks to all the viewers who joined us for today's broadcast. We had a good haul of viewers for round number 1 as usual. For now, though, I'd like to thank Tyler Maxson alongside me in production and, of course, my co-commentator. I'm Jonathan Simon. We'd also like to thank our entire Apex Racing TV crew that made this Apex Racing TV presentation. And if you want more information on Apex Racing TV, visit apexracingtv.com for more information on iRacing broadcast services. Our winners today, there were an abundance of them, but it was very close, wasn't it, between Elvis Rankin, Aero Nom, and, of course, our inaugural TCR winner. We say so long from the Sebring International Raceway, and we'll see you at Interlagos in a fortnight's time.